the next topic which we need to discuss, we also discussed about the existence of neutrinos, which is linked to that in the beta decay spectrum. The next portion is stating that radioactive decay law is an exponential function and defining the decay constant. Now in the previous section we have seen this equation whereby the activity is proportional to the this is the activity, and we've seen that this is proportional to the number of nuclei, radioactive nuclei present in a sample. Okay, so now this proportionality sign can be removed by adding in a constant, okay, and this constant is called the decay constant. Now therefore the decay constant becomes the activity divided by the number of nuclei. Okay, if you think about it, suppose if I had 10 radioactive nuclei, okay, and the probability, or let's say the activity is 1 disintegration per second, okay. Now if I were to ask what's the probability of decay of this nucleus, okay, in the first second, the answer of course would be 1/10, which is the activity divided by the number of nuclei. Okay, so you can see that this here is also the activity divided by the number of nuclei. So therefore the definition of lambda is the probability, okay, of decay of any nucleus, okay, at a given time. And how do you calculate lambda? It will be the activity divided by the number of nuclei. Okay, from here on you can see this is bolded over here. The decay constant is defined as the probability of decay of a nucleus per unit time. From here on there is a little bit of mathematics. We have dn over dt minus dn over dt equals lambda n. So rearranging this, we have dn over n equals minus lambda dt. Okay. Now integrating both sides, okay, we should get ln n. The students are not expected to know the details of the integration, but the basics would be good because sometimes in the exams they are asked for this derivation. Okay, integrating both sides with limitless integrations, okay, you will get ln n equals minus lambda t plus a constant. Okay, now when time is 0, okay, we know that the number of nuclei present is n naught. Okay, n naught is the initial number of nuclei in the sample. Therefore ln n naught equals 0 plus c. So c then becomes ln n naught. Substituting this here, we have ln n equals minus lambda t plus ln n naught. Okay, so from here we have ln n over n naught, bringing the ln n over there, equals minus lambda t. Okay, therefore n over n naught equals e raised to the power minus lambda t. Okay, or n equals n naught e raised to the power minus lambda t. So you can see that the decay of the molecules, or the number of radioactive nuclei present in a substance, in a sample, with time decays exponentially. Okay. Also we know that the activity is proportional to the number of nuclei present, and therefore we have the activity at any given point is also reduces exponentially with time. Okay, so these are the basic defining equations which the students will need to use in most of the numericals. Now when we talk about half-life T half, okay, at T half we have n equal n naught over 2. Okay, now substituting this in that equation, we have n naught by 2 equals n naught e raised to the power minus lambda t half. Okay, so we have e raised to the power lambda t half equals 2. Therefore, lambda t half equals ln 2, or t half equals ln 2 by lambda. Okay, this is how students should be able to calculate the half-life given the decay constant or the converse. Okay, so these three equations are going to be mostly used for most of the numericals in the examinations. Now, 13.2.7 is just giving some examples of how to use these equations for elements with long half-lives and short half-lives. Okay, one thing that the students should know is that in real life, how these activities are measured is through a device called a Geiger counter. A Geiger counter basically, they can go and read this up. It's not explained in the notes, but in any reference book, they should be able to see how Geiger counters actually detect the radioactive particles through a gas present in the Geiger meter. Okay, so and also they should know about background radiation and how that affects Geiger meters. So if the Geiger counter has to be used, you need to subtract away background radiation and calculate only the radiation which is pertinent to the sample that you're talking about. So that's 13.2.7 and 13.2.8 is basically using these equations for problem solving. So that basically covers nuclear physics, and that's the end of chapter 13.